Conversations, the podcast that brews up honest and insightful conversations all about relationships with self and with others. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Tiffany.
And welcome to episode 2. You know, on episode 1, they learned all about me, all about Tiffany. We talked a lot about why we even started Black Coffee Conversations. So we're really excited to have our guest today, Mr. Omar. Omar is an author. You are a life strategist. And you are also one of the hosts on the Mighty 147 WBOL's Kim and O Show.
Yes.
So glad to have you here.
Man, it's great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Omar?
Omar is a simple guy, pretty much. Loves life, enjoys life, but I love love. I love being able to help people. I believe that everyone should be empowered because I believe everybody's probably 1 or 2 steps away from reaching their potential, their promise. And a lot of people don't have direction. And so they need it. So I just love to be able to give back. That's all.
So tell us what a life strategist does.
A life strategist is an individual who actually is able to look at your life in a way and give you a roadmap to your success. And that could be financial, that could be spiritual, that could be emotional, that could be even in relationships. It's all about what it is that person's trying to accomplish in life. And my job is to come along and be able to look at your life, take you through any steps that's necessary, and walk you to your promise.
Was this a natural calling for you, or how did you sort of get into this work?
That's a good question too. When I was pastoring at the time, I would do that for young ministers. I would ask them, what is your goal? Because some people just want to get up there and preach, and some people actually want to go into pastoring. So going into pastoring...
And that's different. What's the difference?
The difference is ministering, you just go around to different churches, you get to preach, whatever.
Okay.
And, just be able to give the word. Pastoring is different because you're over a flock.
Yes.
So you're fathering.
You're shepherding.
You're shepherding. You're taking your time to really grow people in a spiritual way. And you're giving them a word in a different way. Because, some people that take one scripture and they preach off of it, where as a pastor, you have to study the text in a different way. It's not just studying that middle one, but you got to study the chapter before, the chapter after, and have a real clear, concise thought process of that whole book in order to deliver a message that's going to be sound for them to go forward in.
And it sounds like the relationship that you have with yourself, both for what you do and for shepherding a flock, is key.
You have to have a great relationship with yourself. Because you have some people who are in it for the wrong reason and they don't have a good relationship with themselves. You have some people that's in it for finances. You have some people that's in it for personal gain. You have some people that's in it just to be able to say, I'm over something. Mm-hmm. So you really have to be able to be a selfless individual and to be really secure within yourself to be able to pastor people.
And what's the work? I'm curious because, we all want to have great relationships with other people, but sometimes we don't have that roadmap for the relationship we need to build first with ourselves. So I'm just curious, as you kind of felt that calling on yourself and did the work to prepare yourself to prepare others, what was that journey like?
For me, first I had to do it on me first before I could do it for anybody else.
Right.
That's good.
Because I can tell anybody to know thyself is to know thy enemy, because we're our biggest enemies.
Yes.
So for me, I was able to really dive into things about me that I didn't like. Then I had to ask myself why I don't like them. Because a lot of people go through this life and they hate different things about themselves, and they don't know why. But then when you begin to understand you on a full level, it opens up the mind in a whole different way.
Yeah.
To the point where I can talk to somebody about 10-15 minutes and probably get a good understanding of who they are and why they're the way they are. And won't say 2 words about it to them because it ain't my job saying it. I'm just meeting you.
That sounds like discernment. It sounds like a gifting.
It's a real good gift. It's a real good gift.
Comes in handy.
It comes in handy.
But relationships and the whole relationship dynamics is changed. It's changed today.
Dramatically.
So let's talk about that. You bring up good points about getting to know yourself and all of that, but the relationship game has changed.
Yeah, it has.
How do you go about that?
Well, let's see. First of all, let's look at how
it has changed.
It changed when you start talking about people like Kevin Samuels, people like the Red Pill, Blue Pill community, Andrew Tate.
Sales.
All that stuff. So it's so many different reasons why And you have all these talking heads who are
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
but you got to also understand what place they're coming from. A lot of these men are coming from a place of
Hurt.
trying to live off the back of Kevin Samuels. So a lot of people got out there saying the same thing he was saying, not understanding where he got some of his stuff from.
Right.
So there was a guy on the radio by the name of, I believe it's Leaks, Tommy Leaks. He's been doing this shock jock type talk for over 20 years. And a lot of topics that he talks about, Kevin Samuels picked up off of and started talking on. Then there was a young lady by the name of, well, she's retired now, Shabazz. I can't remember her full name.
Oh,
But
I remember her. Yeah.
she actually wrote a book on black women and black men way back in the 60s, and she really was trying to help the black community, and that was another place where he got a lot of this information. But a lot of people didn't understand that. So in the process of getting this information, he's given it from a standpoint where he's an expert. He's not doing anything but regurgitating, not understanding what he's really doing. And what he's doing is he's hurting more than helping.
What do you think, with him being sort of the godfather for this generation of that particular messaging, what do you think was the core of his message?
The core of his message was more or less for men to stop taking the type of treatment that they had been taking.
Stop
off women.
simping.
Yeah, that's it. Stop simping, that type of thing. But I mean, let's really talk about, like, really simping is not, if you love somebody.
Yes, it's
Right.
not
No, it's
simping.
not.
It ain't tricking
No.
if you got it either.
I didn't say it, fellas. Ladies, I didn't say it. She said it.
I said it.
So yeah. No, I mean, you got this generation where you can't be simping. You're not supposed to treat a lady, this type of way, and you fly her out for this, that, and the other. Now, for the record, fellas, flying a woman out across state lines
Well,
just to have sex, it's sex trafficking. I want y'all to know that. Take note. That's what a lot of people are in trouble for. So cut that out. The other thing is, if you're going to be in a relationship, you have to understand the dynamics of why. And a lot of people don't know why they get in a relationship. Most men look at somebody and say, hey, I want that. I want to holler at her. She's fine. Okay, this, that, and the other. But by looking at her, do you know whether or not she's trouble for you or not? Do you know whether you're not trying to mesh together? What are the, I look at it this way. When you meet somebody, it's a connection. Then you have the conversation. And from the conversation, you understand the complexities, the comparisons, and how you can comprehend that person. And if you can comprehend that person, then maybe you can get along. But
Yeah.
if you can't comprehend them, then that's going to be a problem.
so I'm really into psychology and neurobiology and all those kind of topics. And it's dopamine addiction at its core. Men like that drive to chase, that initial dopamine, and the more the woman kind of makes herself exclusive, the higher the testosterone spikes and the dopamine, because men used to have to go out and hunt for everything. So it is a very primal drive that you all have to chase. And we all know that dopamine can be addictive. Anything you do, whether it's scrolling or pornography or anything like that gives you that instant dopamine spike, can be addictive. So I just think, sometimes checking in with yourself and kind of knowing your emotional regulation, that type of thing, is critical. A lot of it is dopamine and addiction to novelty. And we have so many unlimited options now with Facebook and all these apps.
But do some men feel like, you know what? I completely agree with you in terms of men are there. They
And
like
it's
to
not
hunt.
just them, it's us too.
It's us too, right?
Yeah.
But do some men feel like, hey, I'm tired of her not giving me reciprocating? There's nothing wrong with chasing a little bit, but are there, when does that?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that going on in relationships today, and I don't think we're going to understand that a lot of men want to feel appreciated. They want that reciprocation, and a lot of women don't know how to give it because they weren't taught to give it, because they were told that they were the person that's supposed to be taken care of, and they're supposed, and this princess-esque type mindset, where he's supposed to serve me, I'm supposed to be, the queen, this, that, and the other. Yeah, you are the queen, but at the same time, there's a duality in here. When you start talking about help mate or help meet in the Bible, it's not a person where she just comes along and helps you, and you don't just come along and she takes your last name and you just, cover her and take care of her. This is a partnership. This is a merger going together. And a lot of people don't get that. Even in a relationship, the merger comes together as two people being one.
Yep.
So if I'm going to grow with you, I have to know you. Like one of my biggest fears, we talked about it earlier, is shared evolution.
Right.
If I meet somebody and we are growing in a relationship and it's not shared evolution, we're going to grow apart.
Absolutely.
Because we haven't had regular conversations. So we may have initial conversations, but are we meeting on a regular basis where we're really digging into one another and learning the depth of that person? Like, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest desire? What's your goal? Where do you want to finish your life? If you don't ask these questions, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to grow apart.
So you're in the beginning stages and you're dating, you're out there in the dating pool now that they say has pee in it. So you are picking, you have chemistry and attraction with someone. How do you make those front end decisions before you make a huge time investment, before you potentially end up being a baby daddy? You know, just all the things that can happen when you on fire for somebody. You got that first little buzz going.
No baby daddy's here.
No baby mamas.
But you really have to engage with that person on a deeper level than just surface. Like you really have to take time out. And a man knows within 6 months. We know. It's not rocket science. We know. Here's the kicker though.
What do you know in 6 months?
If the man is wise and it's more than just surface, and you're more than just going out to eat and maybe knocking it out here and there, it's more or less like, so what are your goals? Like, what do you like to do? You know, when you begin to dive into her and ask her what makes you tick, then you start asking about past. Because now you're getting into the present. You know what she does. You know what she likes to do. What made her who she is? When a man starts digging into your past a little bit and understanding where you come from, you know, parents and, you know, the marital status between them and exactly how you know, dated, what was your dating pool like, what was your dating cycle, he has a good understanding of how to actually work with you and whether or not this is going to work or not.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. If he feels like, hey, we can make this work within, 6 months, I can make this work. Why does he drag it out to a year or longer? And when I say longer, it should be no longer than a year and a half.
6 months would be too short for me. I'm gonna tell you why. I think it takes a full year, full 4 seasons to see somebody's ups and downs and ebbs and flows. Times when they're frustrated, times where they might get angry unexpectedly, road rage, whatever those triggers might be. And I just think that you have to really tap into someone's spirit, like, because initially everybody sends their representative. I mean, no matter who you are, you put your best foot forward, but you can only put that foot forward for so long. So I need about a year to really get into the psychology of this man, what motivates him, you know. 6 months, I don't think I could do it unless I'm seeing you every day.
Oh, no, I'm not saying get married in 6 months.
I'm not saying get married. I'm just saying the process of knowing.
But see, you gotta understand, men are simple. So we look at certain things. We look at our needs. We look at our wants. We look at our desires, and we look at if you guys align with those things. But also, the flip side of that is, even though we know in 6 months, we're not gonna bust a move in 6 months.
That's good.
If we're wise, we're going to drag it out probably another year after that 6 months to really fill you out. The other thing is, we want to see if you're going to talk yourself out the relationship. Because a lot of women can have a man lined up for a relationship leading to marriage. They can mess around and talk themselves out.
What does that look like?
It could be where she feels comfortable and she gets to talk in a certain way. She might be talking reckless. She may say something that doesn't line up and you said this, but now
you're acting differently.
Things start to unravel, like you said, representative.
Yeah.
So the things begin to unravel. So right about that 9, 10, 11 month, they're like, I thought this was gonna work, but it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
So maybe we might need to.
Right.
But are we having those conversations today? Because see, we're having conversations, and there are people that do.
Men come. We come and we give hints. We give hints and we try to talk at some point. But sometimes some women don't want to hear that. Some women are like, are you just being weak? Are you tripping right now?
Oh no.
Some of them have attitude. They don't want to go deep and they don't want to have those conversations. So if I can't have those conversations with you, at some point I'll walk away. There's a lot of men like that. There's a lot of men that will walk away.
You know, we're talking about how it's changed. You know, when I think about it, I think we're being inundated by all of these different social media platforms. And just thinking about that, in my opinion, sometimes there's so much negativity around, you know, all black men are like this, all black women, you know, are like this, all of these blanket statements that are made. And a lot of times it's made by us about each other.
Yeah.
That are very negative. So sometimes maybe we're just, so many people are feeding into all of these social media platforms maybe and listening and making their judgment instead of just being themselves and dating and getting to know the person for themselves. Maybe they're hearing all of these other things coming in. I don't know, I'm just wondering why it has changed so much. And the only thing I can think of, I think about all the social media platforms and how we're getting hit with all of these different conversations.
Well, there's three elements. You got social media, you have movie media, and you have music media. Because now the music has changed. Because back in the 80s, we had romance.
Yes,
music.
we did.
You know, they used to sing for real.
Very true.
You know,
Okay.
now it's like drop it on the side. You know, bend it over. You know, sexy red. You know that type of
Oh
thing.
my.
And then you got the other guys out there. Kiki, are you with me? So you got those type dudes. But see, music has changed. Now let's talk about the movies.
Okay.
You got Tyler Perry.
What you gonna say about
He don't say nothing good about black men. And you know, I mean, let's be real. Like, has he put out a movie where there has been a sound relationship between black men, black women, and black family? No.
Well, wait a minute now.
I'm trying to think of what.
I know.
I'm not a huge
I'm not a huge Tyler
Tyler Perry fan, so I can't just pull anything.
The fact that
out.
you have to think.
Well, I'm trying to think the good Mr. What was it? Good Deeds,
Good-
but
was that by him?
That wasn't. Yeah, he was in that.
I remember
correct?
that. Was a
So
good
that
movie.
was one, and maybe he's showing it from another perspective.
We don't need that. We've had enough of that.
Well, it's sensational. He knows we like that. We
Right.
like
It
to-
sells. It
That's
sells.
That's the thing.
It sells.
At some point, we have to stop doing what sells. We have to do what's right. The Cosby Show sold too.
It did.
Yeah.
It
Martin
did.
sold too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
My
did.
wife and kids sold too.
Yeah.
Blackish sold too.
Right.
All of them were positive.
Right.
What makes you different? Because right now you're feeding into women's negative emotions and you're becoming a billionaire off of it, and it's
Yeah.
not fair to the black
I
man
can agree
because
with
you're
that.
putting black men out there as if we're not. And then here's the other thing: media's picking up on that, and since they're picking up on that type of thing,
Yeah.
now they're putting black women and white men, or black women and Mexican men, or black women with any other man than a black man in a commercial to make it sell. So you're making a black woman look like she's way more better of a product to be married to than the black man.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
So you have to look at the whole dynamics because now that feeds off into relationships. Because even though black women are more, you know, they're making more money, they're more graduates, they still want a black man. But here's the other problem is the black man really hasn't come to the point where they're getting themselves together either. Because
And we do, don't we? We still do want a black man.
Oh,
I know I do.
I do.
I love black men. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just the best. Like,
And there's some great black men out there.
there are, and
Yeah.
no shade against any other culture's men, but
Right.
nobody walks, talks, smells,
Yes.
looks like a black man.
Yes.
So, yes.
Fully agree. Fully agree. Fully agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
so
We've talked about that. you
we
know?
have
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
it, and I think there's a lot of patterns of like the way we interact with each other, black men and women. Like
Yeah.
we kind of have this gamey situation that we do with each other, and it's quite interesting. And sometimes I think more so now than I remember growing up, it's a lot of disrespect involved in some of that.
True.
Yeah, I like that 90s love.
Yeah.
I have a 90s vibe. If you
Yes,
can't
you
vibe
do.
with
Yes.
me on a 90s vibe, then we can't do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love my sisters.
Yeah.
That's good.
We ain't going nowhere else. I mean, I was asked
Yep.
even that. I was even asked that, and it was kind of funny because when I
We
first,
just talked
we
about
just
that.
talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been asked that multiple
So,
times.
yeah.
I'm like, no.
If you still love your sisters.
Oh man, I can't. The only other race that I would ever date outside of black women would be either Cuban or Dominican, and that's only because I've dated those in the past. Those and when I was younger. So other than that, no, that's about it. You know, I love my sisters though because they have so much to offer.
And I always say to each their own to my viewers, but I
Yeah.
agree.
Whoever makes you happy.
I've had conversations like this with my other friends, with some of my family members, and I am with you. Just that I don't know, that bond, that connection, that understanding without even speaking.
Yeah.
That's important to me. And so that's why I choose to date black men, among other reasons.
I mean, if I'm
yes.
I know if I'm with a black woman, I look across the room, I'm like,
I already know.
you already know.
I already know.
If it's Becky across the room and I say,
what's wrong, baby? What you mean, what's wrong? What's the issue?
that's gonna be the problem. It's gonna be like, do you not see that this room has changed the atmosphere? We're about to be in danger. You asking what's going on? We need to leave. You know that problem. That's gonna be a problem. We all, but yeah. No, I have to have my sisters, definitely.
So let's talk about how do we change, and I think that's part of this whole, just part of the reasoning for this podcast, bringing about more positivity to Black love and Black relationships, and also some healing. Because I think that there are some historical things, some systemic things in the past that have brought us to where we are with our relationship with families, with others, with intimate relationships. How do we...
I think we say we love each other, but we don't always like each other. It seems like Black men and Black women, for whatever reason, are being more so pitted against each other in various narratives. And I don't really understand why we allow that.
I'm going to say it's not that we pretty much allow it. It's that a lot of people don't know any better because a lot of people are talking from a hurt state. And, misery loves company. So now you have a lot of hurt women who latch on to certain people that are, hurt. You have a lot of hurt men who latch on to certain people that are hurt, and they're speaking to their hurt, they're not speaking to their healing. So let's talk in case in point of the crash and burn expert, D. Jackson.
Oh, that guy. I forgot all about him.
So he was
his wife had a bonnet on, right?
So this man was going around talking about all the things that a man should not be doing, only to find out he's doing the very thing.
Right.
And these women were by the buttload. We're talking about he had a 10 million, women following.
That's because he was handsome.
And brothers was like, man, women, y'all really going for this. Girl, I'm telling you, he's the truth. And then when he came, when it all came out. But see, this is what I'm saying. He's hurting people while talking to hurt people. And that's the problem that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You have a lot of men that do that. You have a lot of women that do that.
Yeah.
But then when positivity comes, oh no, I don't want to hear that. No,
Yeah.
You can't talk to me. That's what we don't want to listen to reason. So until we actually begin to take a look at ourselves and realize we're not doing anything but hurting ourselves, that's the problem. Now when it comes to other issues about Black men and Black women, we were used as experiments. And when I say that, let's go back to the 1930s and 40s, or you may know about the study about the rats, where they had male and female, and it was a nice environment, and then they put some rats in a bad environment, and it was pretty much chaos, where the male was having babies and leaving them, or even killing them, the males. And then you have the ones that had food, that had a great atmosphere, and they thrived. So what they do, they took that experiment and gave it to Blacks. They put them in a place where Black women were able to have a place, protection, provision, no Black man. So then you push the Black man out, and then you begin to take jobs from no more industry. So we have as a military or college. A lot of men didn't make it in either one, so they were struggling. Then you had drugs. You introduced
High
to the system.
incarceration.
High incarceration. So then you introduce drugs into the system. That's where we have
I was going to say, would you tell them the name of your book? Maybe it's something that they might want to pick up. Yes! I'm ashamed to say I haven't read it, but I will.
A friend of mine got me to write the book, and it is about dating in today's age, and this was back in 2020, but my views have changed since then. As far as, because it was kind of random thoughts that I put into the book, the alpha male all the way down to the zeta male.
I want to know about the alpha and the zeta male. I think I have a type. I need to know which one is which.
Okay. Well, I think since then I've looked at it and went back and really did the research on it. And when I looked at the research on it, I was like, wait a minute, this is not even really a real thing. it's something that was kind of like thrown out there.
But it is something people are into. It is. We all compartmentalize different ideas in certain ways. So could you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh man,
please.
Go. An alpha male is more aggressive type male. He's more of the person that wants to be seen, wants to be in the limelight, and wants to be right there in women's face and stuff.
Is he the one fighting our wars and gonna slay the dragon?
Well, he's the one supposed to be out there doing that, but he's the way that they portray him now. He's more of the ladies' man.
Oh.
And then you have the beta, who's more of the follower. And the
I want some examples. Okay, wait. So alpha is Casanova?
Alpha's normally Casanova. He's normally the lady.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have the beta male who's more of the follower. He's the guy that can adapt to any situation. So if he's the guy in the room that everybody's like, they like and everything, when the alpha comes in, he's pretty much going to sit back and watch because, this is a true alpha. Now I got to either match him or follow him.
Okay.
Either way, but I got to make a choice. And a beta male is that guy who's just gonna go along with the flow. He's the one that the alpha's the one the women want. The
he's disciplined.
He's
a little bit more measured.
He's more measured, and he's a Bill Gates, a Warren Buffett. He's the one that most women don't pay attention to, but later on down the road, he has the money.
He got the juice later down the road, y'all.
He got the juice down the road. Then you have, they said the beta, the alpha, and then you have a sigma male.
Ooh.
A sigma male is a little bit different.
Okay.
He's the lone wolf alpha.
Okay.
He's the one that he doesn't chase the women.
Okay.
He's not out there to chase. He's the one. He's kind of the person that has information. He learns a lot. He's to himself. He's that person that you would say that is a John Wick individual.
Oh, okay.
He's an equalizer individual.
Gotcha.
He's that dude. He's that dude where no one really knows anything about him.
He's mysterious.
He's mysterious.
Okay.
He's an undercover alpha
He's
because
got some complexity to
him.
him.
He has some complexity, some depth to him.
All right.
He's that one with the women like, who is that guy over there?
Who's that guy?
No one knows. But then you have the Zeta male. The Zeta is more of the workaholic.
Oh.
And I didn't know that until I started research, but he's supposed to be more of the workaholic type dude.
Okay.
But now in 2024, because the way technology and information changes, I would say there's a difference now in all of that because you have
different breeds now.
I was gonna put we just gonna keep 100. We got the down low.
We got sassy.
We got the down low dude. We got the dude that is the regular working type guy.
That's your blue collar guy?
Your blue collar guy.
Okay.
You got your guy who is Mr. Player from the Himalaya, can't stay out of trouble. You got that. But then you have now
called slick back.
Yeah, called slick back. Slick back Rick, that type of.
Let me take another
But now you have what I call the rise of the masculine man. And when I say that,
that
it's more
excited me when you said that.
Well, I say that because the guys that I'm mentoring now, that's what I kind of like deem them. Like, we're going to do this a different way. And it's more of a rise of a masculinity. So these are the guys who actually have a blueprint to want to be leaders as far as being entrepreneurs. They don't want to work for anybody. They really are about themselves, so they have a balance of duality where they understand their masculine and the feminine energy because they're taking time to understand that. And then not only that, they understand what it means to really take care of a woman. And when I say take care of a woman, not just take care of a woman financially, but really understanding what it means to open the door, pulling out a chair, understanding who they are and understanding what they like to eat. When you come to a restaurant, say, we're out to eat. And I say, before the waiter gets there, so what you see on the menu, you're like, you're talking about it like whatever. When the waiter comes, this is what the lady will have. That type thing.
Even understanding our moon cycles, because women do change throughout the month, and sometimes we need grace for those changes. And it is a biological thing that happens. I mean, it's not a switch, that we can flip. So I think that understanding that we even look different at a certain time in our moon cycle, and we're going to pull on your masculinity differently at certain times in our cycle. So I just appreciate a man who just studies his craft. It sounds like that's what you're describing. I think a lot of media culture now, they talk about a high value man. But I don't think that that's what you're talking about.
There's no such thing as a high value man. every man is high value. The question is, at what point does it become low value?
So what category are they talking about when they
They're
say
just
high
talking about
value?
finance. That's the way it was getting. The high value man is a man who makes over a certain amount of money. Let's be
Is
clear.
that a Kevin Samuels
That's
thing?
a Kevin Samuels type thing. And at the end of the day, not all men are going to make $100,000.
Right.
It's not. More women are going to make more money than men. The problem is, can that man be secure within himself to be able to be married to a woman who makes six figures or makes more than him? You know, let's talk about the...
So you, as a high value man, just for people that relate to that concept, you can pretty much get away with whatever you want once you're in that category.
what
You
they
can
make
cheat, you can, you know, date somebody that's 20 years younger than you.
That is the red pill, blue pill thought theory, so to speak.
Okay. That's interesting.
And it should,
I mean, it's just misogyny rebranded. It's not anything new under the sun. It's the same old thing.
yeah. And it's funny because lately here, I've been going back watching the old Martin,
Yeah.
you know, shows on Netflix. And I remember the episode, I was watching the episode when Martin found out that Gina made more money than him. And how insecure he was. And it's kind of crazy because that's how a lot of men act, because we're taught that we have to be the breadwinners. But in today's society, we have to be real sex sales. And a guy who is hiring would much rather hire an intelligent, attractive woman than he would a dude. Let's be real. He wants someone to look at him, you know, and that's why they get the money. You get like, well, you know, I could bring you in, but I can.
And I think sometimes men do think that the perception is that it's easy for us. They even talk about pretty girl privilege and all of these things. But I will say this. I'm chief of staff of a department. Navigating that space and being a feminine woman and sometimes dealing with my moon phases and having to placate a lot to the male ego just to make them feel safe. It is a job in and of itself. And so that shit ain't easy. I'm just saying, like, I need an extra check just for that.
Well,
I know I might be cute, and somebody might have said, "Ooh, I'm gonna hire her," maybe. But once I got there, I had to work to stay there.
Yeah.
So I never want to minimize women who are out there getting it.
Yeah, and you shouldn't, because more women, and I don't think a lot of men or a lot of people realize this, the more attractive the woman, the more drama she comes with. And when I say that, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying, when I say that, I'm saying because you guys have been through more pain, you've been through more heartache, you've been played with more. Because most guys have looked at you surface and now look at you time to really date you as a person. They look at you as possession. And it's different when a guy is looking at you as, oh man, I'm, you know, that's somebody I want in my stable versus somebody saying, I want that as my partner. You have to realize that. And so the one who looks at you as possession, he really doesn't, he looks at you as a trophy. He doesn't look at you as an individual. Whereas you have somebody who's a partner, they're looking at you as an individual. They look at your hurt, they look at your pain, they look at you as, you know what, I did something wrong with that woman, I can tell,
Women can match that energy though in a minute. So if you're looking at me as a trophy, you better have a honey bun in your pocket that you're ready to spend, because, I mean,
well, this is true.
What we doing?
This is true. But sometimes you may not know that man looks at you as a trophy either.
I'm okay.
That's the other thing. Yeah, you're okay with it until that man is not really tuning into you.
You gotta have your boundaries, and you can't give somebody something they don't have capacity for. So you gotta know what game you're playing.
Well, that's where the alpha male comes in, because he can play that game.
Hey.
That's the problem. He can play that game.
No, y'all are just
You don't want him to play that game. That's where that alpha.
No, I don't want to play a game at all. But if I choose to hit play, then I realize what I'm doing in that moment.
Are we putting too many definitions though on individuals? You know what I mean? Because
there's some patterns and some archetypes out there.
There are, but I don't want to box. You know, I think that sometimes it's like we're putting each other in a box.
It's toxic.
That's the reason why.
It's toxic for sure.
That's the reason why I say when I wrote that, I started looking, it's like, but we're putting people in boxes. But you also gotta look at, black people, we put each other in a box anyway.
Right, and I don't want to be in a box. All of us are uniquely made, right? All of us are different, so I can't say that this is exactly who, the type that no one can really define. Tanya is uniquely made. She's not this.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Right?
I do. I identify with that.
So I want people to not look or judge and think, oh, she's this way, she's this type, I'm gonna have to come this way. Just be real. We all have different personalities. We're all uniquely made.
You have to attract real, though. And real does recognize itself. So I think water meets its own level. You have to be who you want to be in relationship with.
Okay.
So I think as long as you're doing that, you don't really have to worry about like these matrix programs and these hotel colloquialisms and all this little stuff we come up with to sort of categorize our world. And some people really get stuck in those narratives because they haven't done the self-work to really know themselves in a real way. And I know we have to play around in the matrix. We gotta, you have to do some things.
The more self-check that you do, the more growth that you do, the harder it's going to be for you to choose.
It is, but
because at that point your standards begin to rise. As your standards begin to rise, the rest of the BS begins to fall to the side.
But your energy field changes, and the people that talk to you, approach you, come into alignment with you, they get better and better. And but your patience has to change too, because it's not going to be at the frequency it was when you were down here.
Yeah.
So isn't it really a takeaway too, is we all need to really do a lot of self-reflecting.
Yes, Lord.
For ourselves, of us and who we are over the years, who we've dated, who we've allowed in our space.
No more. That's Black history.
You pick that up? So because I can look at some of the people that I dated years ago, like, what were you thinking?
That's who you were at the time.
That's who I was. That's who I was attracting. That's who I felt maybe that I was worthy to be in a relationship with.
When your values change, you attract different.
Yeah. So I think that's something. That's a start when we're talking about how do we do better. It is really starting with self.
Yeah.
And that's my takeaway, the viewer's takeaway.
And honestly, any energetic change I had, exchange with someone I had at any point in my life, I am grateful for that because I was who I was, whether I was little Tiffany or teenage Tiffany or 25-year-old Tiffany, and I was in my evolution, and I needed that person to have an experience of self so that I could learn, so that I could grow, so that I could realize things that might be in my shadow that need to be integrated and dealt with. So I don't.
That's true.
You can't look back and be bitter. You just gotta be grateful that you grew through whatever God sent you. And I believe God's hand is on my life. I don't believe the devil is sending me nobody. I believe that I'm God's child. So I'm okay with it.
I love it. Okay. So, oh my goodness, are we almost out of time? Or I think so.
Well, we had fun today.
We did.
Yeah.
I think we learned a lot.
And you have to come back. Yes. I think the people need to hear. I feel like we just scratched the surface of the depth that you have to offer us. So please do come back.
Definitely bring him back, and also Kim and O. Bringing in Kim too, maybe one time.
Yeah, I want to get her. It's Kim and O. You're O though.
He's O.
Kim is Kim. Okay.
Kim's on vacation.
Well, come on, Kim.
We're ready to have you.
We need to do this on the
weekend. Yes,
I've been on the show. Was it 4 weeks now? It's gonna be the 4th week. No, I'm off tomorrow.
So 3 o'clock every Sunday. 3 o'clock is the Kim and O show on Sunday. Every Sunday. I love it.
Next Sunday I'll be off, but this Sunday I'm off, and then I'll be off next couple Sundays. Kim, get ready. I'll be in Atlanta. So today.
And where can they find that book?
They can find that book on Amazon. They can find the book, on Amazon. That's where you can find it.
And what's your social media?
My social media is Speaklifeomar, and also Omar Life Strategist on Instagram.
And if you have not subscribed to Black Coffee Conversations, please like, share, and definitely subscribe to our podcast. We're just getting started.
And we pouring it out hot, y'all. Y'all come back.